Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Games y Más, the podcast where we are talking about all things board games, video games, and pop culture. On today's episode, we are joined by Cody. Thank you so much for joining us here. Cody is a working actor. I saw on your bio, working actor, voiceover.
Yeah,
as well.
Just film, TV, trying to get more into voiceover.
Okay,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm very excited to have you on here to hear about your story, about how you came into acting. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content. With all that being said, guys, grab a chair, grab the chair, grab some dice, and acompáñeme a jugar. Cody,
yes.
Thank you for joining us. Yes,
of course.
I'm very excited here for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're a famous actor.
I like to think so.
You're a famous actor.
I don't know if, relatively speaking, if I'm famous compared to some other actors out there. But
true. I mean,
you know,
I'll say
I've done some things.
You're the most famous one in this room right now.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I'll give you that. But thank you again for joining us.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about your story.
Of course.
And I've never heard it. And I'm very excited to hear how you got into the world of acting, why you chose acting, maybe some projects that you were in that you want to share, maybe some that are coming up that you can share about that you didn't sign any NDAs about. And your future, like what does the future hold for you? Where you see yourself moving on forward from here? But before we get into that, let's get into the icebreaker questions that we do here at Games y Más. 2 questions.
Okay. The
first question is, what is your favorite board game of all time? And the second question is, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Okay.
And for those listening, I want to expand upon the board game question. Is that board game is I'm talking about all types of board games, so card games, dice games, party games, actual like hard strategic board games.
Right.
So I engulf all that because people think, when I ask that question, they're like, I don't know, Clue. I'm like, no. I'm like, do you have any card games? Like, oh, I didn't know that was included. So yes, I'm including all of that.
Everything.
Yes. And then when it comes to video games, if you don't have like a favorite console game or PC game, I'll include arcade games. So you can, Street Fighter for the arcade or some other fun games that you played during growing up, or even now, even if you have a favorite video game as now. So I'll let you take it away, Cody. What is your favorite?
Well, I'll start with board games. Now, I will say that I'm not as much of a board gamer. But I would say if I had to pick, probably Settlers of Catan.
Okay.
Yeah, I did play that with some friends, and I enjoyed that. But I would say the video game question.
Yes.
I relate to a lot more because I'm still to this day a video gamer.
Yes.
And if I had to pick, it's hard to pick the favorite, but I would probably have to go with Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation.
Yes.
Okay.
And honestly, it's been interesting because they have the original.
Yes.
But then recently they're doing the remake and they turned it into a whole trilogy.
Have you met Thomas Hagina? You know who Thomas Hagina is from our church?
Yes.
So I had him in the earlier podcast, the one before. And go check that guy's out. That one's a fun one. His favorite video game is also Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
no, it'd be a dream job to get like a voiceover in that.
He was saying that too. He
Oh,
actually
my
has some
goodness.
people that he's worked with.
You know the guy, the actor who plays the voice of Cloud. His name's Cody, and I'm like,
They're like,
I could have been a Cody, and
I could have been that Cody.
Yeah, no, he does a great job. The voiceover is great.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I would say that game, both the original and I'd say the remakes are just brilliant. So,
yeah. I haven't played the remakes. And if you guys listen to the previous podcast, I'll probably reiterate what I said again. Is that I've only played the old one. And I never finished the old one. I just felt because it was too long.
It was very long.
It's a very long
That's
game.
why they're able to turn it into a trilogy
of
games. And they really expand it.
Got you. And again, I'll ask this question because I asked Thomas this question.
Yeah.
But you've played the remake, the first part of the
Yes, I have.
Okay, so how do you
Actually,
feel?
a couple times.
How do you feel about how they went from the old one, which was turn-based combat? You're taking your time, to now it's more of like a button mashing kind of flashy everything.
I actually think they really modernized the combat in a really unique way because it is kind of more actiony and like real time, but it still involves strategy in like in the turn-based incorporated kind of into it.
Okay.
Because when you go through certain commands, it'll slow the combat down to where you can pick out different spells and different things.
Got you.
And I think you can tweak some of that in the menu as far as like whether you want it to be a little more turn-based or a little more actiony.
Okay.
And I think it's really engaging, and like I think going back to strictly turn-based, that is some people love it, and I have no problem with it, but like I think it was smart to kind of modernize it and give people some more options and let it feel a little more fast-paced.
Okay, interesting. Did you enjoy any other Final Fantasy game other than that? And there's a close second that came to mind for you?
Let's see. You know, I would say, oh, man, what would be a close second? Because I played some of the later. I haven't played all the series,
right?
But I think I remember enjoying. Actually, Final Fantasy VIII, I remember enjoying.
Okay,
as well. Yeah, Squall and that whole. And I remember 10 being 10 good as well.
Good one,
Honestly, 9. I like all of them. I don't know I'm not sure what I would pick as a close second, because 7 just stands so high out.
Yeah.
I know a big one for a lot of people is 6.
I've never played
before
7.
It went 3D.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious if they'd be able to like do a remake of that, because I never played 6, and I hear it's really
interesting,
kind of brilliant.
Yeah, I think I started. So I didn't start at 7. I started at 10.
You started
at 10.
So
I played 10 because that's like one of the second games I got for the PlayStation 2 when I was younger. I started playing it, but the funny thing about that game is that when I first got my PlayStation 2, I didn't get the memory card.
Oh.
So I would play as far as I can.
So then you'd be stuck. Yeah, you couldn't
I had to start
further.
over. Yeah, I had to start at the very beginning again.
Oh, man.
Because I wouldn't be able to save because I had no memory card.
Yeah.
So I'd get as far as I can in one night sitting, and then my mom was like, I go to bed. I'm like,
oh, man, I remember back in the day when it was like you get like the passcodes for Nintendo and like to be able to, like, that's how like the progress was saved.
Yeah, exactly. It was a hassle. It was a hassle playing that. And like, I remember it kind of put me off on that game because I'm like, man, I can't even save. I can't even play. But then I ended up getting a memory card afterwards.
And then you could actually.
And then I dove into the game and was like, all right, let's play. So yeah, it was pretty funny playing that one. That was my first one. And I kind of went up after that. And then I think I stopped at 13. And then after 13, I was like, let me go back to 7 because everyone keeps raving about 7.
Yeah. And somewhere in there, like 13, it started to me, those games weren't as good.
Yeah.
It started to get very linear and like some of it just wasn't as engaging. And then I think 14 was online, and then 15, I think, started to get a little back to
how
kind of the feel of it, but still modern.
Yeah.
And then 16 was interesting.
I never played 16.
Yeah, 16 was very Game of Thronesy, actually, in terms of the story.
Really? Yeah, I heard like you get like it's like a lot of betrayal in the beginning or something. Like you get back.
It's very game like it's
Game
almost like ripping it off.
Really?
Practically, but that's a good one too.
Interesting.
But 7 is definitely my
7. Okay,
my
so
favorite.
7 is your favorite one, and then Settlers of Catan would be your prime board game.
Yeah.
Let's get into the meat of this podcast of your story of becoming an actor.
Yes.
So this is all I know. You're an actor. That's it.
That's it.
Thanks for coming to the podcast, everyone.
All right, that's the story.
There you go. So let's start with the first question of why acting. Why did you decide to get into
acting? That is a good question. I guess there's maybe a couple of answers, but I remember like when I was young, when I was a kid, like seeing movies, seeing TV shows, and I remember even at that age, kind of recognizing that like, oh, these people like get to like play these characters or play pretend for their jobs.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that was really cool. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And also as I grew up, I started to really get interested in just stories and characters. And I mean, part of that is thanks to video games, because the story is in video games.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
That was like definitely inspiring.
Yeah.
But I'd say it just always stuck with me as something fun. And something that is just such a unique job at least to me.
Right.
So that stuck with me, and then I started taking acting classes and things, and really got into it.
Okay. How long have you been in the field, you say, coming up now?
Let's see. As far as like officially, I would say, what year was it? It was right after college. So I'm not including like education.
Yeah.
But I would say close to 20 years now.
20 years in the field of acting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's are you counting from like days that okay, this is when I'm started going on auditions now, started doing things
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, I'm kind of really speaking more into like I did acting in high school and college,
Okay.
but I'm not really including that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm including kind of when I started going off and doing like independent films
Oh, okay,
and getting on film sets.
Got you. Okay.
But I mean, more or less 20
years?
ish years.
Okay.
Because I got like a job to pay the bills.
Right, yeah.
Kind of summer job at first when I was out of college.
Yeah.
And then just started putting feelers out
Yeah.
and going on auditions and
Right.
getting experience on film sets.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. And when now or in the past, did you say you worked like independent films and stuff, and you started getting on film sets? Was this just you yourself, or did you sign on with an agency or an
Yeah,
agent, or?
it was at first. It was just me myself. I'm originally from Texas, so
Gotcha.
this started off in Dallas.
Okay.
So I just, I had some people I knew who were already kind of in the industry. Kind of had a mentor
Right.
who kind of showed me, like, okay, this is kind of a good group to go to find auditions.
Right.
So I got onto some just independent productions, just myself.
Yeah.
And then I got an agent in Texas.
Okay.
And that was all before I moved out to California
Gotcha.
to really like come to Hollywood
Yeah.
and pursue it out here.
Pursue your dreams and film here. Yeah. Okay. And are you currently with an agency, or you just kind of just by?
Yeah, I have an agent. I have an agent right now.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I've had an agent. I mean, I've had a few different agents and managers, and it's kind of a evolving process, and you got to kind of find the right fit.
Right. Gotcha.
It's because sometimes one agent may or may not work out. You kind of go to a different one. It's like you just just adjust and move forward.
It's interesting about agents because I always thought agents were like, here's all these projects where like what do you want to work on, but like I know it's just like certain agents that like specialize in certain things.
Yeah.
Like some agents are just for commercials.
Right.
We're giving you audition for some, or booking for other types of things, stuff
Right.
like that. When I was younger, like I was kind of in the same story of yours. When I was younger, that acting was what I wanted to get into.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay,
I wanted
I
to
didn't
be
know
an
that.
actor when I was about 16,
Okay.
17. My parents were like, no.
Yeah.
Growing up in a Christian home, they're like, that's a devil's place. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
And they're like,
that's
it's just a little dream. Like, well, when you get older, you're like, and I was like, no, Dad, I want to be an actor. To the point where it was funny because we'd always hear on the radio, like, do you want to be on film and TV? Come to this address, sign up for this, and audition today, and you can land an agent or a film role today. Who
Right.
knows? And then it'd always be like, I always beg my dad to take me to those, and my dad would be like, no, like, please, okay. So he would take me, and then there'd be like a bunch of kids in one room, and I'm just sitting there like, all right, let's do this. And then we had to do some cold reads.
Yep.
Here's
Yeah.
the script. Here's the scripts. All right, what's the cold read? Okay, yeah, you have good charisma. I like your look. So I want to sign you up for some classes, and then here's the price. My dad's like, "Whoa, nope, we're going home."
Yeah, I remember experiencing some of that. Like, there's a lot of scam stuff.
Yes.
Too, because a lot of times people will prey on that.
Yep.
Or people who are new.
Oh yeah.
To the field of just being like, oh well, you got to pay to play essentially.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
And that's a big red flag. Like,
Yep.
Because like especially with like agents,
Yeah.
if they're ever charging you anything up front, like that's big red flag.
Yep.
Because they work on commission. They don't get paid till
Gotcha.
the actor gets paid.
Yeah,
for a job.
Thanks, parents, for seeing that. Like, no, we're out of here.
Right.
Like, son,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
son, we're not paying this to get you into your classes and get you an agent to get you into auditions. I'm like, no, I want to. So I still pursued it though. Like I still like in high school, I did theater, I did a lot of theater. College, I took theater classes. I did a lot of that. And so during like my senior year, college times, we met this lady that was starting an acting school in our in our city that when I lived in.
Oh,
This
wow.
and there hasn't been like an acting school. There's been like acting like areas, but not like a school that like, hey, I want to take people and teach them the ropes of acting, maybe get them
Yeah.
noticed, or maybe like get them an agent. Her name was Tanya. Tanya, you're awesome. You made the man who I am now as charismatic as I am, learning how to do product placements and enunciation of the things and stuff. She was cool. And yeah, I took classes for her for like 3 or 4 years. She said, hey, there's a competition going on, and winner gets signed on with an agent. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, no, like you'd be great for it. Like, listen, we just got to get you a monologue to memorize. You're gonna do a monologue for them, and then they're gonna do some cold reads with you, and then we're just gonna see. But it's like a competition, so there's a bunch of kids coming from all over the place. Okay, sure. And I'm like, I think I was like 17, 16, around this age. I get there, kids everywhere. I'm just like, oh man. But it was different because they rented out the hall, so like it was like a 3-day thing.
Okay.
So the first day they had us sit down and they did like kind of like a lesson of like what acting is and how the acting world is and using your tools and what to do and stuff. And they had like a couple actors and actresses there. I didn't recognize any of them because I was a kid. I was like, where's Zac Efron? And everybody, all these people. So anyway, but they were very inspirational. I was like, oh snap, I can get into this. Second day, I was like, all right, we're gonna give you some lines for some shows that haven't premiered. At this time, I think it was like the show for the Disney show, Sweet Life on Deck.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
This is before it was coming out. So like we got some lines from that show. So I read them lines for them, and they had like I think 3 or 4 art agencies there writing down notes and stuff. I'm like, all right. So do my monologue, and my monologue was I don't know why I had this monologue because like I think I was too young to have this monologue, but it was like of a guy who goes on a date with this girl, and the girl said that she likes to preface men that are like manly and like of nature, like manly nature, like like super strong manly nature. So my character was like, well, in order to prove that I was manly, I decided to think that Tarzan was manly. So I decided to show up on this date with nothing but a loincloth. And then so then I had to explain this whole date of how I was like a manly gorilla and everything like stuff. I didn't understand at the time. I was just like that, and like the agents loved it. They're like, what in the world? They loved it.
Probably stood out.
Yeah, it stood out. So long story short, I ended up getting an agent. I worked with I don't know who Abrams artists. Do you know who?
Yes.
Abrams?
Yeah.
So I ended up joining up with them.
Okay.
They liked the fact that like I spoke Spanish also. So they're like, oh, you're bilingual? So yeah, can you read this line in Spanish? I'm like, yeah. I read it. They're like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, I didn't think of nothing of it. So ended up getting an agent. They held me out at the very end. They're like, hey, listen, like you were one of the top contenders, and Abrams wants to sign with you. Can you come over here? And I was like, oh snap. My dad was like, what? Like he was there.
He wasn't excited. He was like, wow.
He's like, whoa, you got signed. Like what? Wait, what? And so like, yeah, we were all dumbfounded. We're like, what? Like I have an agent, guys. Like, so anyway, they would call for auditions. So the only problem is that we lived in Lancaster at the time, which is an hour drive.
Oh yeah.
So
that's tough.
They would call and be like, hey, we got an audition for you. Could you come?
And you got to be.
And you got to be at this time. And I'm like, that's an hour drive. And I wasn't driving at the time. So I was making my mom, can you take me to this audition? Yeah. So she would drive us an hour there for like a 5-minute audition.
Yep.
And all right, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Okay. Anything else? No, we're good. All right, bye. And we drive back. Hear nothing. All right, next thought. I got another audition for you. All right, got to drive all the way over there again. Another 5 minutes. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day. To the point where mom's like, hey, honey, like, I can't be driving you this much, like, to auditions. Like, this is a lot. Like, this is an hour drive. And me, this is the time when she's telling me this, I was in college now. So I was like, I think you're right. Because I'm trying to, like, focus on my studies, but I can't be going on auditions like that. And so I told my agent, I'm like, hey, man, like, I can't.
Yeah, it's just not going to work out.
It's not going to work out. I can't do it. And they're like, okay, thank you so much for your time, blah, blah, blah. And, we'll part ways and let you go. I'm like, all right, cool. And that was my acting career. That was it. And, yeah.
What's funny, though, is that wouldn't even be an issue today because it's all self-tape now.
Really?
Yeah. Except for some, for the most part, the first auditions.
Yeah.
You do it like we're doing. You film it yourself and send it in.
Send it in, and if you hear something, you hear something. If not, really.
Yep. Man, ever since COVID, like I did in-person auditions. It was a thing still.
Yeah.
It was already starting to transition to self-tape.
Right.
There was some, but once COVID hit, like all that just shut down and it did not come back.
Really.
In-person auditions, which I have conflicted feelings about. That's another conversation, but
definitely.
But it's interesting that
it's
a different world now.
Yeah, there you have it, guys. That was my acting life that I had.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I said I still enjoy it. I enjoy
Yeah.
more theater than I do.
Yeah,
film.
I mean, I started in theater, so
Because I just love it. I love the rawness,
theater.
the realness. That there is no multiple takes. It's
Yep.
just there and there, and I enjoy it. I love like immersing myself. I think.
Yeah, there's kind of a rush to it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like that,
the live
Yeah, it's
experience.
like you are this character. You're in here. You're involved, and you're telling a story to a bunch of people that came to see you live.
Yeah.
With film, it's like you have the cameras, and then you have the actors, and you're
Yeah, and you have multiple takes, and
exactly.
Yeah.
So I gravitate more towards theater. But yeah, so yeah, that was my little bit of a little side story of my acting career.
Cool, man.
Cody, tell me, are there any projects that you have out there that you would love to mention? Some that you don't want to mention?
Yeah, well, a lot of the stuff I've done you wouldn't even know of because it's independent. It was maybe in festivals, that type of thing, but didn't see like wide release.
Yeah.
I would say one of the biggest films I did was it was still when I was in Texas. It was a very, very cheesy. I wouldn't even say B grade. What's the lowest grade?
Like a D grade?
Yeah. No, it was a great experience.
Yeah.
Like it was like at the time I had a blast doing it.
Right.
But it's a very cheesy film. It's actually a dinosaur film. It's called The Dinosaur Experiment.
Really?
It was originally titled, and I wish they had kept this title. It was originally called Raptor Ranch. Because it was supposed to be like, Southern flavor, it takes place in Texas.
Yes. Okay.
There's a mad scientist who's breeding dinosaurs.
Got you.
There's a group of young, college age, characters
Right.
that, their car breaks down and runs out of gas. And I'm like the nerd type, the intellectual one.
Okay.
My name's Sheldon. But yeah, it was us trying to survive dinosaurs. It's a feature-length film. It's available. I think it's on Amazon. And
No way. Really?
yeah, and it actually had distribution at the time. There were copies of it at Walmart and in Redbox and
Really?
that type of thing.
The Dinosaur Experience.
The
right?
Dinosaur Experiment.
Definitely gonna check that out.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you should be able to Google it and find it.
There, I know that guy.
Yeah. No, I'm in like. I don't want to spoil anything,
Right.
but I'm a major character.
Okay. Nice.
Did several days on that film. And a fun thing about that film that I probably will never work with again is that it was shot on 35 millimeter.
Really?
Yeah. So we were using actual film.
That's old school.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So I mean, this was a while back when I was younger, but
for the digital age.
I know. Yeah, but it was fun to work with actual film because there'd be times where they'd run out of film, they'd have to change it out, and it was just you could hear the whirring of the film going through the camera as we were shooting.
That is so
pretty
cool. That is so cool.
So there's that one, and then as far as more recent, that I would say is the major thing that I've done is I worked at Warner Brothers on an episode of the show Lucifer.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a pretty brief part. If you blink, you miss me type of thing. But I had a line on it,
nice.
speaking with Lucifer.
Uh-huh.
So they had a whole soundstage.
Okay.
Over there. So that was fun.
Interesting. That's pretty fun.
Did a day on that.
Cool.
So
were you on set with the Bible, like?
I know, right?
Reading my Bible, like this is a wicked show.
No,
this is a
it
wicked
was
show.
As a Christian, I think when I was a younger Christian, I would have been a little more like weird about being on a show like that.
Yeah.
But as I've kind of matured, I think it's like no, Christians are needed in that type of environment.
Yeah, they are.
And in my mind, I just saw it as a sense of irony that God's funny. Like this was like my first major role, and like God's in charge of Satan. Like he's like it's not like he has
the
power.
show's gonna rule supreme.
He has authority over but no, it was also a good reminder of that. I want this career to not be about me,
right?
Because it's easy to get caught up in like the glitz and glamour of like, you have cameras on you and like the celebrity of it. And I've prayed before that like, God, please don't make this about me. I want this to be done the right way.
Shining light,
and have a sense of humility about it. And like again, an ironic, funny thing about the Lucifer experience was I was like really excited about it, and then I found out that it was a scene in a masquerade. Like the scene was a masquerade sequence, so we were all wearing masks, so you can't even see my face in it. And at first I was like, oh man, and then I remembered like, oh yeah, it's not about about me.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But so but it was cool. Like I got a credit in it. Like you have my name in the end sequence.
That's so cool.
So that was fun.
Okay.
So that's stuff I've done
in
the past, and there's been other things that I've done.
Got you.
You could find me on IMDb.
There you go.
All that.
Look them up, guys. Look them up.
Different credits and stuff. So.
Interesting. Is there any future projects that you're excited to work about that you maybe can like sneak peek show?
Yeah.
Or somewhere like
no, there's a future one that's pretty much I think finished in post production. I've worked with this director before. This guy named Adam Villasenor, and he's got this has been in some industry articles about this movie. It's called Yesteryear.
Yesteryear.
Yeah. I don't know if that's gonna be the final title or if it's just a working title.
Name sounds familiar. I feel like I've seen that.
But it's a feature, and it's kind of like set during COVID. I haven't seen the whole film or anything, so I can't speak too much to it. But I do have a couple scenes in that, it's got a number of people in it. It stars Koryanka Kilcher. She's been in some different things. Yeah, it's I'm excited for it because I feel like he always does brilliant work, and I know he's been slaving away at this for quite a while. So I'm sure it's going to be something special.
Interesting.
And it had a few industry articles on it, like I mentioned, like the Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that name before. Like I might have scrolled it by somewhere.
Yeah. So it's had a few things buzzing about it. So I'm hoping that it ends up somewhere. Like I think it would be amazing if it could end up like in a theatrical release.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
But I'm pretty confident it'll at least end up somewhere.
Sundance.
Who knows? I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool.
Because he's had some stuff, previous films in things like Sundance and
okay.
I don't know if that one was in Sundance, but in different.
Some of his projects have been there. Okay.
Yeah, been in different festivals.
Have you done any project works behind the camera? Have you worked behind the camera?
I have done some.
Okay.
I several years back I did some producing work.
Oh, okay.
Like on a web series and
nice.
So which I was in. I kind of did one of those multiple hats. There's a good friend of mine. Osokwe Vasquez, he's a writer, director, and we've worked closely together on different things. So did some producing work with him.
What would you say is a movie that's inspirational to you that kind of like motivates you to like that you take into like account like this is a movie that I gravitate towards more because like I love the acting in this movie and I take inspiration from this movie and this is like your top movie that you love so much.
Oh, top movie. Oof. Okay. I would say I can give you a few. It's hard to pick just like a favorite or I'm definitely, and this is kind of the nerd in me too.
Yeah.
I love The Matrix.
Yes. Except the fourth one, right?
Yeah, that one was weak to me. Like honestly, people there are issues with the second and third one, but honestly, I love the whole first trilogy.
Same.
I was disappointed with Resurrections.
Yep. So
I felt like that was. I mean, granted, I've only seen it once. I saw it in the theater. So I'd like to go back and watch it again. Maybe I'll see something different. But yeah, the Matrix movies are really inspirational to me.
I love those movies. Mr. Anderson.
Yes. And I'm kind of talk to my wife like I have like a man crush on Keanu. Like I love
Keanu's all
Keanu
man.
Reeves, like John Wick movies, all
John
that.
Wick, yes, yes. He's the
Anyway,
man. He's the GOAT.
that would be he's kind of a actor I want to work with.
Oh.
Yeah, like that would be kind of a.
Heard he's a great guy.
Yeah,
He's a
no,
phenomenal
it's super
guy.
friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely inspirational on just speaking to the nerd part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the sci-fi and the fighting and
choreography and everything.
choreography. It's just beautifully put together. But also like the story of just it's very philosophical.
Mm-hmm.
It gets into spirituality and like it's a very redemptive type of narrative. And I love anything that touches on that of just like speaking to bigger issues and kind of like what is the meaning of life and like how you view reality and like and all that.
What is the Matrix?
Right, exactly. And just like just Keanu, I love quoting him. He's like, I know kung fu. Yeah.
Show me.
But I'd say some other movies that have been inspirational. This is another one I haven't watched in a while, but I don't know if you've ever seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
With Jim Carrey?
Brilliant
Saw
movie.
it once, a long time ago.
Yeah, and like an example of obviously Jim Carrey had his big comedy, but like he's a really good actor. Like, and that was a big dramatic turn for him. That one was really inspirational. Just the cinematography and playing with memory and kind of like it's like a love story of like where he's wanting to erase certain parts of his memories, but then as that's being erased, he realizes that no, he wants even the hard memories. He doesn't want to forget.
Yeah.
So it's like he's trying to remember.
Yep.
And I definitely am a fan of Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Some movies more than others, but I really appreciate Inception.
Inception's a great one.
Of just like the idea of going into the mind and the different layers of the dreams,
dream world,
and how that's portrayed. Like,
that was a great one. That was a brilliant one.
Yeah, like and I don't know, it's just some of the sequences in that are just ridiculous.
They're wild, yeah.
And then a big one of Christopher Nolan's that I really like too is Interstellar.
Interstellar, okay.
Yeah, because that's an interesting one because
super
it's
trippy.
It's sci-fi, and so there's a lot of science in it, but there's also like it's a really cool father-daughter story, which I thought was really like emotional. Yeah, of like how he has to leave his daughter to like go on this mission to save humanity, and then he loses all this time with and he misses like her whole life. Yeah. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while. So, like, I just really and the score, the music in that,
the little piano diddle
with it does like Hans Zimmer put together an amazing score. Yeah. Of just very like the organ. Sound in the theme throughout that. So that I'm sure I could keep going.
Yeah, name list them.
But those are some ones that come to mind.
What's a movie that you can just quote left and right, like from beginning to the very end? It's a movie that it's just a movie that you just quote. Like when people watch this movie, they get annoyed with you because you're just quoting every single line.
I'm sure there's a few. Okay. Matrix is probably one of them. Okay. But I'm also a fan. Something like early Adam Sandler, like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison.
Oh yeah, those movies are great. Yes.
Yeah, like Happy Gilmore, and unfortunately, Carl Weathers just passed away.
Yes, R.I.P. Carl Weathers.
And he was actor. He was great in Happy Gilmore. Yeah, when he's like he
crocodile bit my hand.
Yeah, damn alligator bit my hand off. And Adam Sandler's like, oh my god.
So what are you doing? He's like, there's 360 days left till hockey season. I gotta come get hit with the.
He's like, cut that out. You're making me sick.
Yeah. Oh, that one hurt a little, but it's all right.
Yeah. So that's probably one because I've seen that movie so many times.
Yeah, I love that one too.
Yeah.
Billy Madison, I watched
Billy Madison.
to death all the time. I love the one. It's like, don't ever say that.
Don't ever say that.
I can't wait to go to high school. Don't stay here as long as you can. I'm like, poor kid. He's shaking that kid's face. He's gonna rip it off. and then when they're playing dodgeball, he's like, now you're all in big
trouble. But for now, I got to study.
Yeah.
Or no, that was the O'Doyle rules.
Yeah,
O'Doyle, I have a feeling your whole family's going down. But for now, I got to study.
Yeah, that one was so fun. He's like, I love early on Adam Sandler movies. His newer stuff,
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan.
Not a big
But yeah,
is already Mr. Deeds was a fun one.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that was perfect. That was good. I loved Mr. Deeds. Mr. Deeds was funny.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines from that one is when they're in his hometown and he's like showing his uncle's like business associates around, and he goes up to Steve Buscemi and he's like, "Hey, these are my uncle's friends." He's like, "I don't like them." Okay, all right then.
I don't like them.
He's like, "All right then," and he walks away.
Oh, that's funny.
That was a funny. Steve Buscemi was funny that one.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Adam Sandler ones. Yeah, a movie I can quote all day is Nacho Libre.
Oh, Nacho Libre.
Me and my wife quote that all the time. We know every single line. People get annoyed with us because we always quote that line.
I can't quote that one as well, but I've seen it a few times. It is funny.
Favorite one. I can quote a lot of Lord of the Rings trilogies. I can quote all of those. So coming up with the conclusion here with the podcast before we get to the questions here.
Sure.
So your future with acting and stuff like that. Where would you see yourself going future wise here? I mean, I'm pretty sure the number one answer would be like, I want a lead role on the next theatrical release that comes out.
Right,
I want to work next to DiCaprio and work with Scorsese and all these people.
Yeah.
But what's like a dream, like a next, like maybe like an achievement that you want to achieve maybe in the next 2-3 years or something like that you can kind of get into?
You know, I mean, outside of some crazy big role landing in my lap, which could happen, you never know. I think, I mentioned this at the beginning, I'm wanting to lean more into voiceover.
Yeah.
And I think a dream job for me would be getting into voiceover for like video games.
Yeah.
Okay. I took a performance capture workshop.
Yeah.
With a casting director who does a bunch of video games. And that went over really well. And they were actually very complimentary and like, hey, you should be doing voice acting.
Yeah.
If you're not. And I'm like, awesome.
Who, me?
Yeah. And performance capture is interesting with video games because they're doing more of that with video games. Where you get to you wear the suit or whatever. And you get to do like a whole scene like you are doing an on-camera thing. But it's getting translated into
video game
into the video game animation, and so I would love to get into that. A dream guy that I want to work with, and if somehow you hear this, Mr. Hideo Kojima.
Oh, Hideo Kojima, yes.
Metal Gear. Yeah. Oh man, if I could work with him, because I think he has a studio here in Los Angeles.
Kojima Productions?
Yeah, Kojima Productions.
Really?
He has a division of it here.
Oh, okay,
there's the Japanese office.
Right.
But man, like I would love to get more into gaming and voiceover because like that would be the merging of like two passions of mine.
Yeah.
Acting and video games.
Yeah.
So
that's Hideo, right? Hideo like loves making like games that are like cinematic.
Yeah, and that's why I love his games.
Yeah. Oh man, his games are great.
Because like it's so narrative, and they're so unique. Like Death Stranding was.
Yeah, walking simulator.
Yeah, it was very, but I strangely enjoyed it.
Yeah,
like you don't think that something like that, where you're just
carrying
a courier, like
making these deliveries.
Norman Reedus carrying items across this landscape, but somehow it's like a weird.
Yeah. Man.
I think some people enjoyed it, some people didn't, but like I was like, this is weird, and I strangely like it.
I'm digging it, yeah.
But yeah, that's essentially the answer to what
voiceover,
like. I'd like to lean more into that, in addition to doing live action stuff. But doing more in the video game world and voiceover, in general.
Got you.
Because I've done some of it.
Yeah.
A little bit of work in anime.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like brief, like an hour in the booth for Funimation at the time. It's Crunchyroll now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's still Funimation. They're just owned.
Oh, yeah,
owned by,
right, yeah. But it was at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're based, I think, still in Texas.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, just trying to
Your
get more
voiceover
into
acting,
them.
get to the act. Yeah. Hey, man, I mean, I think you will.
So this is perfect for it on a podcast.
There you go. Here's your reel for you for that.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, Bethesda and Insomniac and
I know, like all the video game
all
developers,
these, Rockstar and everybody. I got your boy right here.
Listen to this silky smooth voice.
Exactly. Yes. There you go. And then if you ever meet Sam Witter, please send him my way because I love that man.
Oh, that guy's great.
I love that guy. He's a man.
He did the voice of Force Unleashed, right?
Yes, he was Starkiller,
and he was in Battlestar Galactica.
He was also in. He was the voice of Darth Maul.
Yes, yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, he's a big nerd. He's a big Star Wars nerd.
Yeah,
huge Star Wars nerd.
No, he's great.
Stuff. And I'm like, man, if I can get Sam Witter, if he ever watches, please come on my podcast, bro. I'd love to just nerd out with you.
Yeah.
I love to nerd. And if you meet him,
Sam, come on over,
bro. Come on over. I'll tag you like 6,000 times on this podcast so you see it because I love to like nerd out with you about Star Wars and And like he does a great Palpatine voice, execute all the secrets. Yeah, I was like, oh man, like he does great. Yeah, do it now, not from a Jedi. Like he does a lot of. He's peak. I'd love to have him on there, but I feel like you might meet him first. So go ahead, send him my way.
I'll keep that in mind.
When you bump shoulders with him,
I'll be like Sam. Gotta meet my boy Vic.
I know a guy, and I know a podcast.
Yeah,
that I'd love to have you on here. So, but Cody, thank you so much for sharing your story. I've never heard your story before, and it's awesome to see that. I'm gonna look for the dinosaur experience. I'm gonna watch that. And I'm gonna critique it, and then
Please
I'm gonna have you on here and be like, listen, man, let's see some flaws that you did here. But you're like,
much younger Cody in this film.
There you go. And then I'm looking forward to your future. See, I think voiceover would be great for you. You do a good job on that and stuff like that. And then it just means more free games my way. No, I'm just joking.
Hey,
again, thank you so much, guys, guys, and you, Cody, for joining us.
Yes.
So we do have some questions.
Yes.
So
let's get into the questions,
guys. We have been saying that you guys can submit your questions in, and we'll answer them on the podcast right here off the fly. Usually, my wife is gone for this episode, so I had to look at these questions, guys. Sorry, but we're gonna answer these.
I don't
questions.
know what they are though.
Cody doesn't know what it is, so he's going to go off the fly of what these are. I'm dreading some of these questions. But you guys, we put out on social medias. We've been saying on the episodes, send us your questions and we'll answer them. So this is the episode that for some of these questions that were submitted. But feel free, again, if you want to ask any other questions, submit some questions. We'll put all that information on the description. And, we'll answer them on your next podcast. We won't say who it's from, but we'll just say the questions and stuff like that. So I have here the questions. I have them back here. I had to write them down.
All right. Let's see what they are.
Yeah, let's go with something that some of these questions are more relevant towards the podcast. So one of them is, do you feel like video games have become stagnant?
Video games have become stagnant. You want to go first?
Well, I mean, I feel like that's a good question. Yes and no. I think I've seen a lot of misses on video games because they're just kind of following the same formula. And a good example is I've seen a lot of games trying to be like Dark Souls. Ever since Elden Ring came out and everyone loved Elden Ring Ravenrod, and they're seeing how the popularity of one game of the year, and everyone's they love the Dark Souls type of game.
I have Elden Ring. I have yet to dive into it. Just
I've played. I know
it's a beast.
It is a big beast of a game. Yeah, and it's hard. It's a bit hard. Not as hard as the Dark Soul games that I've played, but it's up there in difficulty. Yeah. But it's yes or no for me on that one because I feel like a lot of games are trying to copy formulas from other games, and it's like we've seen this before. We've seen this original. A game that I feel like is kind of sticking out from the mold is a game called Lethal Company. It's a horror game, but it's like I think it's like one guy made this game.
Oh wow!
And like it just blew up because it was original. It was something new. No one's done it before. And the premise of the game, guys, is you work for this company that you're sent to these planets to retrieve goods, junk, whatever to sell to the company. You don't know what the company is; it's just called the company. So you land on these planets, but literally you go into these like buildings and stuff and try to look for things, but you don't know that there's like monstrosities in these buildings. You don't know what they are, the different types of monsters, and you don't know what's going on. So you're going in there, and they have. I think this is probably one of the best like voice proximity, like proximity voices implemented in this game because like the further away you are, the further I sound. The closer you get, I'm here. If you're on my left, you're here on my left.
Yep.
Right. Or if like a creature grabs you and like covers your mouth, you're just, like you can't as much as you're talking, you're muffled. And so you have a lot of those, and then if one guy's in command center, you can't hear anything unless you have a walkie, and you got to use the walkie and talk to somebody, and then you hear, oh yeah, I'm over here, section B, open up the door, and the guy's opening up doors, and
Huh.
so, and you have all these creatures. I won't say what they are because if you haven't played it, like I would go check it out. But it's the original,
Lethal Company?
Lethal Company. It's
Okay.
it's like it's a graphics aren't that great. It's like a low budget game, but I mean, it blew up. Everyone's playing. Everyone loves playing. I play with the Sad Boys. I love playing it. It's a great game. Great game,
Nice.
fun to play. Scary game, very scary.
Okay.
Because it's like you don't know what's happening. You have $0 to your name, and you're trying to make money so you can buy more items. And so like you go in there in the dark with like no flashlight, and you're just walking around trying to figure out how to do things, and you just see some creature that like stalks you in the night, and you be talking with your friend, and also like, yeah, here, and then you turn around, and he's gone. And you're like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
And you can't. And once you're dead, you can't talk until the round ends. So long-winded answer to say, I think yes and no. Yes, a lot of games are trying to copy from other games. I don't know if you have anything to add or if you
Yeah, I mean, I have a similar opinion. I do think with any media form, I think you see that where, you do have copycats and things that certain games aren't really trying new concepts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I look at again what Hideo Kojima is doing and some other game developers that like I feel that they do kind of start to push boundaries and games are doing some really interesting things with storytelling and with just kind of using new techniques and using the technology in different forms.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, I wouldn't say it's stagnant, but there's still growth.
Yeah, of course.
Just like anything.
It's always expanding. The video game industry is always expanding. This question was, what's the episode about? This episode's about Cody and his career.
Hey,
so there you go. Easy question. There you go. Done.
It's about me.
It's about him and his life and everything. Okay. So next one is, what is your best racing game you've played?
Racing game.
Yeah, racing game. That's a lot, because I really do enjoy a good racing game, but I'm not a big fan of them. I don't gravitate towards them. Yeah, I think the best one that I've enjoyed, played, and I've completed fully through would be Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I played that way back.
Yeah, for the Xbox One or the original Xbox. I enjoyed that game. That game was fun. I played it through with my brother and I. We always played it together, customizing your cars and stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. That's to my extent. I haven't really played. I'm not a big fan of Forza. Or the other type of racing, or Gran Turismo. I'm not a big.
Yeah, the more simulation.
Yeah, I'm not that big of a racing game kind. Like the Need for Speed games, the earlier Need for Speed, like Underground 1 and 2, and so like I really enjoyed those because it was like street racing and converting your cars and adding nitrous and stuff. Because it felt like I was like in Fast and Furious. Yeah,
I got a good one.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a deep dive on this because I feel like this is something that probably was easily missed when it came out. Star Wars Pod Racer. Do you remember that?
That
came from I think it was on N64.
But it was also the arcade one.
There is an arcade version,
Yes.
but there was. I'm more speaking to the console,
The console
one.
ones, yeah. I remember playing the arcade ones more than the console. I played the console ones.
Yeah,
And
I
those was
remember.
for-
I remember thinking those were pretty fun.
Those
like
were
that,
fun,
like
yes.
not like the best in the world.
Yeah.
But like that's what my mind would go to.
The racing games. It is a racing game. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with that. And actually, I did spend. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but there was a period where I was more into. Like I was playing Gran Turismo 3.
Gran Turismo, okay.
I think it was 3, on console. So
Okay. Next one is, are the Sad Boys going to be back on the podcast? And if you don't know who the Sad Boys are, Sad Boys consist of two buddies of mine, Scott and Omar, and me. We created the Sad Boys. It's like our gaming group.
Oh, okay.
Every Thursday and Friday we always get together. We play online.
Oh,
We're always
nice.
Playing like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption.
Oh man.
We're playing a bunch. If you're ever online, bro, come join us.
Yeah.
We love playing. But yeah, we play a lot of online games together.
Yeah.
And we call ourselves the Sad Boys.
The Sad Boys.
Because everything happens. Everything sad happens to us in these games and stuff. So it's like, oh man, that's just sad. But to answer the question, yes, they will be on. Again, we'll have them back on for another episode that we can talk about more gaming stuff. But we're also working on some side projects with the Sad Boys that I'm very excited to do. We're just kind of getting the kinks and things out of the way so we can get focused on doing that. That one's gonna be a fun one. That one's gonna be more the real sad boys, not like podcasts, like formal. This is just us loose playing video games and roasting each other, kind of sad boys. So very soon, guys, we'll have some stuff coming out for you guys there. But thank you for that question. All right, here come the last 2 questions, which I don't like, but here we go.
Here we go.
All right, so this question is: how do you feel about Taylor Swift finally putting football on the map? Oh man, when I read that,
do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead, man. Because I'm just
you got to process it.
Yeah, I got to process how I'm gonna destroy this person's question.
Well, I'm probably not the best one to answer this question because I'm not really a fan of Taylor Swift. I recognize that she has talent and that she's done a lot in music, and I'm not bashing her or anything. I just don't really. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, and I know this is weird, me being from Texas and Dallas, I don't really care about football.
Yeah.
So
Texans are like.
So I know, like, it's just not for me. I've just been more of I'm into the arts and gaming type of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And how do I feel about her putting football on the map? I'm just a little over all the media coverage with her, because she is just a human being.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't understand the fascination with like it's like a worship level of like, oh my gosh, what is she doing?
Yes. I always joke about like I don't like, I hate her. I hate Taylor Swift. I don't hate her. She's talented. She's very talented. I mean, she's won 4 Grammys for a reason, her music, I mean, as a musician, I do like her country style, because I just like the sounds of the guitars and the drums and stuff like that. I'm not really paying attention to their lyrics because they don't really relate to me at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, she didn't put football on the map, obviously. I mean, like I said, you're right. She's just a person. She's just trying to live her life. Yes, she's dating a football star. But I mean, there's a bunch of us celebrities to do the same thing, and they're not getting the same coverage as she is. And so,
just because she's a popular draw.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
what it is.
So. And NFL saw that and started capitalizing on it. And so I'm just like, I'm over it. Like I'm with you. I'm over it. I'm just, Thanks for that question. You know who you are.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. All right, here's the last question, which, I mean, again, another one is, who is the greatest musician of all time, and why is your answer Taylor Swift?
Oh, wow, they answered for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I guess my favorite musician of all time is Taylor Swift. I did not know that. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Great. Well, that ends this podcast,
how do you... Well, okay, I guess, like, since it's clear Taylor Swift is not your answer, what would be your personal favorite?
I'm not a very big like singular musician type of person guy. I like bands.
Yeah,
I like bands. I'm not a big like I like John Mayer. Like it's like I mean he's a great guitar player, but I like bands because of my musician side.
Yeah,
I love instruments. I love how people find creative ways to do this guitar solo or play this riff or do this drums. And so for me, my favorite band, not musician, favorite band would be 2002 to 2000 and
a certain time frame.
Yeah, 7 of Paramore.
Okay.
I enjoy Paramore mainly because I love the Josh Farrell and Zach Farrell, the brothers. One was the drummer, one was the guitarist. Were the reasons why I got into drumming and playing guitar.
Oh,
so Zach Farrell, he was the drummer of Paramore. I just loved his drumming style. I love his sound of his drums and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I want to do that. I want to play drums. And so the reason I got into drumming was because of him. And that's when I first heard their first album, All We Know. I think it came out 2004. I might be butchering the year, but around those time, early 2000s, I heard his drumming style. I'm like, I want to play drums. And I told my dad. And my dad's like, what? You want to play drums? I'm like, yes. He's like, you're in the house? Like, yeah. And so he's like, okay. And so, I played drums and I've been playing for like about almost 17, 18 years of drumming. And then guitar playing came out later, but I was like, I loved how Josh played his guitar. He played really well. Josh Farrell, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much. And Zach, thank you guys for inspiring me.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fly all the way over here from Nashville. And come over here. Well, I don't think Zach's still with Paramore right now. They're out and about doing things. So it might be hard to get him.
You never know.
But Zach, if you ever listen to this, bro, come on over and bring Haley Williams too. That'd be cool to interview them. They're cool. But Josh for sure, Josh would be awesome to talk to. But yeah, Taylor Swift, not my favorite musician. Thank you for answering wrong on that question for you. But Do you think you have a what's your
Yeah, it's definitely not Taylor Swift. I think I would have a couple of bands. I'm kind of like you, bands. One that's just really resonated with me, and I feel like people either love them or hate them, is Coldplay.
Coldplay? Okay.
Yeah. More their earlier stuff.
Okay.
Their more recent stuff has not quite as much my style. I still track with them. But
they're a little more poppy-ish.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate more of their earlier. It just seemed simpler.
Okay.
To me, and just it just, I don't know. It's always felt very redemptive, and like just spoke to me in terms of their style. Okay. And another group that's probably definitely not as popular. It's a band called Blue October. I don't know. Yeah, they're not as well known.
Yeah.
The singer, lead singer, his name's Justin Furstenfeld. I really appreciate his music because he's very vulnerable with like where he's at in life. So you'll track like across his albums, like where he is, whether he's doing good or bad or everything in between. He's got a story of struggles with mental health and like drug addiction and stuff. And I have a whole story of mental health struggles for me personally.
Yeah.
So I've really appreciated some of like his lyrics and that he's really open about that.
Okay.
I've actually been to some of his shows. I've spoken to him.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
I had like a little meet and greet, and like we were like, hey, I have this struggle. You have this struggle too. Like, all right.
Yeah.
So it's just been kind of cool, and he busts out a lot of music. It seems like every couple of years they have another album.
I feel like I might have heard their songs, just not knowing that it was them.
Yeah. So
Blue October. Okay. Well, that was all the questions.
Yes.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. Those two other last questions. Yeah. Let's not ask those anymore, okay?
Let's not ask.
I'm pretty sure that once I put the post up again for asking more, I'm
no more Taylor Swift questions.
I know I'm done with that. I'm done with but they're gonna pop up again. I know because I know the people that asked them, and the people that asked them, they know they like to troll me about that, and they're gonna keep asking those questions.
All right.
But it's okay. I'll keep answering those questions.
You got to answer the questions,
and it'll still be the same answer every time as the last episode. But thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun. Is there anywhere they can find you that you wanna anything you wanna plug in?
I would say just search me on IMDb.
Okay.
Because there's like a whole algorithm on there that affects like a meter thing. So feel free to visit that. And I'm on social media, so you can find me Cody Vaughn, like on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. I'll put all those links.
Cody Vaughn 25 on Instagram. So I'm not super active on social media, but I'm there. So you can find me.
You can find yourself. Oh yeah, watch your number go up.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I'll put all the links to your IMDb and everything on the description.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can get you that stuff.
And go ahead. Check out some of his works that he's mentioned. The Dinosaur Experience.
Experiment.
Dinosaur Experiment. Check that out. I'll check that out with you guys. We can talk about it. And we're looking forward to the future.
Yes.
Again, Bethesda and all those gaming companies. We got you. We got you on the lead. All right.
You got a rising actor.
Red Dead
to work for
Red Dead 3. Here we go. Red Dead 3.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that'd be a dream.
You and Thomas, right there. Both of you guys working on Red Dead 3, or the next Bethesda game, whatever that comes out.
Yeah.
But again, thank you again so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content. But again, thank you guys so much for watching y nos vemos para la próxima.